If you've got a great foundation for what you're working on, I think you're going to have success. Stay tuned for this one, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to Your Little Castle Show. Yours truly, the Cardinal Cowboy here. And I look like I am off camera, everybody, even though I hit a camera button there. So I'm going to let you guys talk for a second here. I got a question for you, though. Tell me, as we get into this, I'm sitting here with the owners, the founders here on the far end. Justin Mabry, great last name, related if you're a Cardinal guy. Or, and Jon, and I've got your title up here. I'm going to put that up here so I don't say it incorrectly. Sansoucie.
You got it. Nailed it.
Very cool name. Tell me, guys, Justin, I'm going to start off with you. What is the biggest mistake people make when making a decision about remodeling, handyman work, and the different kind of stuff you guys do?
Yeah, it's hard to say what is the one biggest mistake, because there's a lot of mistakes you can make. One of the big ones is with coming back to, the struggle of figuring out if you want to try doing something yourself. You watch some YouTube videos, it seems easy enough. You can get in over your head real quick. And so I think that's a big mistake people make, is just underselling themselves on what the job is. Like, oh, well, I just need to replace a few things here and there. And, oh, it's like this wall. Yeah, I watched this on HGTV.
Right.
They did it in 30 minutes, and it was easy. And then you get into it, and it's like, oh, boy, I have no idea what I'm doing, and now my house is torn apart. What do I do? So I think that's a big one. You probably got some more, too.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, then when you get to that point, then sometimes it's more expensive to have us come in.
Torn some stuff out.
Right,
now you got some
exactly.
to do.
So then it just ends up being more money you spend versus just hiring the right person first. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I guess the other mistake that I see people make is, you get what you pay for in this world. So when you go and you get 3 bids, I would say choose the middle one, which is usually where we land, because we're not the cheapest. We do price our services appropriately versus the weekend warrior guy that doesn't have any overhead. He's always going to undercut us. But it's not his main job, so it may take 3 months for it to get done. Maybe he's just doing it because somebody told him he was handy. Maybe he's really not.
Right.
And it's not to knock anybody that's trying to do this on the side. That's great. I admire that. But we have dedicated our lives to this. So we are a professional service. So I always talk about the triangle, right?
Yeah,
there's 3 things. You've got quality, you've got price, and you've got speed. You can have 2 of those.
Right.
So if you want a good quality at a low price, not going to be very fast, which is generally where we land because we're booked up. I mean, we're booking jobs in 2026 right now. So because we have good quality and because our prices are competitive, we've got a lot of customers and we've got a lot of business coming in the door. Or you can get it fast and you can get it good. You're going to pay a lot for it. You know what I mean? It's just always it's like there's 3 things and you can have 2 of them, and that's just the way the world works. I didn't make it. I didn't make the rules, but that does seem to be how it works. So I think that's the mistake people make is you get what you pay for. It's okay to pay a little bit, but then you can go the other way and pay that top dollar guy. Oh, I want him. Sometimes that's not always the best. You'll probably get good work out of that, but you overpaid at the very least. So.
Well said. Yeah, I can imagine if you're getting all 3, then there's something wrong, right? You can't get high quality, speed, and the other is?
I mean, that's quality, speed, and cost.
Cost, yeah.
Yeah, so
You can't get all 3, right?
That might be the unicorn. I don't know.
That's why we need computers these days to help us remember. 2 things we can remember, 3 things. Yeah. But, if you're getting all 3 of those, and a low cost too, something's going to go wrong. Cutting corners, and we talk about that all the time. If you are cutting corners cheap, we talk about that, gets very expensive.
Yes.
And so you don't want to have anything where you spend more money because you were saving a few bucks up front.
Right.
Especially, I love the guys who do the work on the side. And it's weekend warriors like you talk about. It's great, and that's how maybe they get into the industry. But boy, when you're talking about somebody's house and you mess up something, and it's just not even they're deliberately cutting corners. They're doing some work that they just didn't understand what they were doing.
Right.
Hadn't experienced it before. Now they're going to come back and say, "Oh, this thing's leaning to the right. What happened?"
And I'll even recommend those guys for things like, I just need this one fence post fixed. Well, that's more for us to come do. That's expensive.
Yeah.
Because it's one little bitty thing. It's going to take us 20 minutes or a half an hour, whereas a weekend warrior might do it for $100. Those are the kind of jobs where those guys really thrive.
Yeah.
So I even recommend those guys. Sometimes.
Everybody's got their place.
Right.
God makes a way for everyone.
Yes.
All right. Well, tell me, residential, commercial. You said you do have your licenses in 4 counties.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool to know. And do you do some commercial properties now, or is it mostly focused on residential? What do you focus on?
I mean, we do some commercial, but it's got to be light, and we tread very carefully there, because when you get into like licensing and permitting in commercial spaces, it gets real tricky real fast, and we just don't know what we're doing. So we tend to shy away from that. But like we've done the hose reels at the top of a Firestone, we replaced a couple of those once for them, or a door or something simple that is, we can do and help a business out at a lower cost that they don't have to pay a commercial contractor for. But we won't do any kind of like remodeling. It's mostly residential that we do the big stuff.
Justin, do you appreciate the residential side of it? Is that where your bread and butter is? You enjoy that?
Definitely, yeah. And like John said, commercial is just a different ballgame. There's a lot of different codes because it's different safety regulations for having a building full of people, different fire codes, steel studs, things like that. And it's very different, and it has to be done a specific way, and we don't do it very often. So it's just something we've looked into it, and it's just like, man, let's just stick with what we know.
Yeah.
And you find that residential will be very rewarding then too. You're dealing with homeowners, right? And somebody who's you're talking to the boss and the family's owner, the kids. They're you get to
we get to play with people's dogs, which is awesome.
Added bonus right there. I thought about that. I love dogs too. All right. Well, tell me then a time when you guys felt like you really helped a client. I can imagine now, as long as you've been doing this and the situations you're in, that's kind of the nature of the beast. Somebody's in a predicament and they don't know what to do, and water's spraying out. We just had a phone call in between breaks here where something happened. Tell us, what's it like, and give me a couple examples of times you've had to go out of your way to help somebody.
Sure. You want to go with that?
Yeah. So like John had mentioned earlier, we have kind of our widows and orphans set up where for people in need, we'll make exceptions to pricing. We'll do what we need to do to get a job done if somebody needs it done. An example of that just recently was I had a woman who called me, and she just lives alone with her 2 sons, and her HOA was getting on her about the fascia on the house was peeling. There was some missing pieces of siding, just, like cosmetic things on the front of the house that the HOA didn't like. And they'd been bugging her and said they were going to start finding her. So I sent her a bid for what it was going to cost for me to come out and do it. And she came back and was like, it's just more than I can afford. So I'll figure something out. Thanks for the bid. So I called John and told him, hey, I'm just going to tell her that we're going to do it anyway. And so we called her and told her, like, hey, Tuesday next week work for you? And then just, if you can pay us what you can pay us. And it's just things like that where it's like, you need this done. You can't afford to pay us to do the job. You definitely can't afford the HOA fees, so let us come in and help you out and do what we can do.
Great story, yeah. John, you've got some along those lines too?
I mean, that one was very rewarding. I mean, for me, before we incorporated, I had a house that we went into that I think I was touching on the last show, where we just replaced that fan. As a single mother, and she had 3 boys living there, and 2 of them were teenagers, and she had her hands full, man.
Right.
Nikisha was her name. She was just an amazing lady. And then as I was there, I was able to fight for her as well with her landlord, because I went downstairs, and she had a lot of gas appliances in her house. And when I went down there, I could visibly see the damage to the gas pipes and the condition that they were in. And that's dangerous. For this young family, they could die from this.
Yeah, so you don't want to have...
And she had reported it to her landlord several times, and just, so I was able to call and just say, hey, I'm a licensed contractor in this. I've seen these are code violations. I'm going to have to report this to the county if you don't get it taken care of. And got taken care of.
Hey, we don't want that.
And she would never have known to say those words to force her landlord to take care of this for her. And, I get it, landlords are in tough spots sometimes, and you don't have the money to take care of stuff like that, but there are some things you just have to make it happen. So,
great examples. Yeah, I mean, we're all on this little planet battling together, and how many times is there? But it just seems as though the way the system is set up by our higher power, if you will, that when you help people, things tend to go your way. When I first started doing the Cardinal Cowboy thing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to really get to enjoy helping inspire other people. But I found what I got is the reward from, or just the great feeling I had from helping other people. And then I ended up benefiting from that, and that's kind of the way the world works. So it comes back. What they say, for everything you help someone with, you get tenfold.
Yes.
It comes back, and it's all in this little book called the Bible. Check it out sometime. But it literally, like, that's the way the world works. And I hate to say this, but there's people that will take advantage, manipulate, deceive, control. I don't want to talk about any political stuff, but give me a break. I mean, and that's just not the way the world is designed. If you want to help somebody, then your life's going to go a lot easier. Why would you not?
Coming back to that story I was talking about with painting and stuff like that, we were in a bit of a valley financially at that point. We were trying to figure out the schedule, how we can bring jobs in so that we can make payroll and everything like that. So on paper, it did not make sense to spend half a day going to paint a house or paint some fascia. But it was just something where it's like, you know what, this is why we're doing the work, is to help people. Yeah. So it's like, how can we go on a TV show and say, hey, we're wanting to help people, and then turn down somebody who really needs that help. Yeah. And lo and behold, we didn't go bankrupt. We made payroll, and it was all right. So
it's a good feeling. Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's kind of the way the system works. And these people that try to take advantage, you're doing it the hard way. Do it the easy way. Help other people and things will go your way. With that, tell us a challenge. I can imagine as business owners, you've had many challenges, but the challenges seem to be the things that we learn the most from and that help us grow the most. Is there any particular challenge you guys have been through that you're like, oh, wow, we really learned a lot from that, and it took us to another level or helped you to get through?
You know, I don't know that I can point to one specific challenge because they've all, I guess, here's the thing. I'll go back to the grit, right? The biggest challenge we faced is not quitting. Because when you get into those valleys, it seems like every valley is a little bit deeper.
Right.
And when you get out of the valley, we even had a talk once after we came out of one of our valleys and just said, you know, these valleys keep getting worse and worse, and that one really sucked.
Right.
I don't want to see what the next one looks like. And it continues to trend that way. The valleys get lower and lower and harder. But the Bible tells us in Proverbs that by fire God will forge us into what he has made us to be. So we just look at it that way, that every valley and every challenge that we go through, that is just another forge that we went into, and you got to settle into it. And just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego sat in that furnace, and God was in there with them. So he's our fourth man all the way through this, and it's been amazing to watch God work in this journey through these challenges. But yeah, the biggest challenge has just been not quitting. And I think that's pretty much par for the course for any Christian walking a life, whether you're running a business or just working or just whatever you're doing. You know, the Bible also tells us in this life there will be troubles. So you got to expect it.
That's the way it works. And I like that analogy. And so often we see this. Have you seen it's a cartoon design of two guys, and they're hacking away, and there's some gold over on the other side of the wall there. And the one guy's hacking away, and the guy below on the bottom picture is just giving up, and he sits down, and you can see he's just worn out. He doesn't realize he's like 2 more hacks away from getting to the goal. Mm-hmm. And how often is that the case in life? You just keep going, and ultimately there'll be some reward there for you to make it. Justin, has this been kind of the way business has gone for you guys to keep the faith, keep going?
Yeah, kind of like what John said. Just keeping the faith, not giving up is the huge one, and it's financially. It's also when you're working on houses, especially, St. Louis County, like downtown St. Charles County, some of these houses are really old. Mm-hmm. And old houses have a lot of problems. And you don't sometimes see the problem until you pull a wall down. And then it's like, wow, And there's a lot of times where it's 11 o'clock and you're just getting hammered with problems. And it's just, you just have to sit down and it's like, man, I just want to go home. I don't want to do this anymore. But you just got to get it done, And then when you do get it done, those are the most fulfilling jobs you can look back and it's like, we pushed through and we got it done. And if we would have left right then, that homeowner would have been in a huge pickle because we just, left them in a worse spot than we started. So just, it's all aspects of business. It's just not giving up is the hardest part. But if you can just keep pushing through, it's worth it in the end.
Yeah. So. Very true. Very, very powerful statement there. I appreciate that. Well, with that, we're going to jump into some more of the fun we got to do in the community. This is a little video I like to share. We interviewed some kids. They were going to pitch the first pitch for the Cardinals game, and we got to have a little chat there. I gave them some encouragement. Check this out.
Hey, everybody. We've got some baseball players in the building here. Who's your guys? All right, first of all, let's talk about who's your guys' favorite player? Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper. Tyler. Last name? Mason Wynn. Fernando Tatis Jr. Aaron Judge. Who'd you get? Bryce. All right, so we got a Cardinal fan in there. You guys are from the Misfits, right? You guys are from down close to Paducah, Kentucky, right? How long a drive was it to get up there? Only a couple. It wasn't that long. Hey, like I said, when you get older, you start playing big league ball and traveling on for stuff. It's gonna be a lot longer drives. They'll be okay for that. We're gonna pay you well. Okay? You ready? All right. So, why did you guys decide to come up here to see the Cardinals? Come on up here. Let's hear what they say. Why did you decide you want to come see the Cardinals? What's your name first?
Hunter.
Hunter. Why did you decide to come see the Cardinals?
Because we're playing a tournament here.
Because you're playing a tournament here. What about you?
They decided to.
They decided to. Why did you decide to come up here? Are you one of the players?
They decided.
He's a bad boy.
He's a bad boy? Okay.
He's a bad boy.
All right, now we got something else going on kind of exciting here. We're going to work on this a little bit. Who's going to throw out the first pitch today? What's your first name? Wyatt. All right, Wyatt. Now let's practice this a little bit. Are you righty or lefty? All right, so give me your form. Are you going to do wind up or are you going to do the stretch? All right, so show me how to do this. How are you going to do it? Right, all right, move over for me right there. You got to hold it. Don't let that trophy. I know it looks heavier on TV. I know. All right, you go like this, right? That's the rubber right there. Let's say, all right. We'll step up here. Show me how you're going to do it. All right, pretty good. Now, if I was going to be out there, maybe someday, here, I'll do a little bit more like this. Ready? It's called the Al Raboski Cardinal Cowboy. Here we go. You gotta get, hold on. That's how you gotta do it.
His name is Carter Rathwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rathwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV
or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up!
Well, there it is. Like I said, and media has really changed the way the world has evolved. But we've got this book. Willie was just in here last week, and Willie J. and Steve Kidd wrote this. I wrote the foreword here. #1 seller on Amazon called Magnetize Media, and how media and technology has changed the game. And we've got an expert actually with Jon's background here talking about you're writing apps, deep seek AI, you're writing apps. That computer background can really help from a business perspective too. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's come in clutch for us. I mean, we're constantly doing things like trying to figure out when you're building a rail on a deck where to place the baluster so you got even spacing. Little details like that is what makes our work stand out, but it takes time in figuring out the math and whatever, and sometimes laying it out and tweaking. So I have an algorithm, so I just put the algorithm into ChatGPT and told it to write me an app, and it did all of the coding for me. I just had to do the bootstrapping, and since I have that background, I was able to upload that onto a server, and then we can download it to our phones. So you can pull out and you can put the parameters in, and it tells you what to space it on either side. And I've got that for stair stringers in that same app, and I've got that for a couple of different things that we do on the site. So it's an app that I'm developing to help our guys on the site. Like once we expand and hire more guys, so they don't have to do that math themselves, they can just punch it in, and it's just another tool we can offer them in their tool belt. So
yeah, it's not as simple as people may think, because I know you got the distance, but then you've got the width of the board, and you got to get to the middle of the board. And on what side? So it's a 3/4. Is it 2 and 3?
4 parameters there, and then it spits out your numbers.
Okay. Justin, has that been something that's exciting for you, a technology, and how you guys leverage that?
Yeah, stuff Jon does with it is super helpful for me because math is not my strong suit. Like when we're doing stringers, I call Jon and I say, "Hey, here's the numbers. What do I do? You know, tell me what measurements to do, and I'll do it." But the other big one is like the AI stuff is super helpful with writing bids, just because, like back when I was doing it by myself, I'm not a very technical person with a lot of this stuff, so I was just writing it up like, well, okay, so if I calculate how much I want myself, you know, like an hourly rate, it's probably going to take me this much time, and, you know, thinking through things like that. Versus AI, we can go in and it's like, hey, what are people charging? And it saves so much time, because it's like, especially with a big project, if you're trying to think through like every step, what am I going to do? How much time is that going to take me? What are what's a buffer I should have in place? It can take hours to write up one estimate, versus with AI, it's like, yeah, you have to double check it at times, but for the most part, it makes it way quicker and more streamlined to write up estimates, which is helpful, like getting them out faster. You know.
Yeah, I would say very often it's more accurate too, right? Because it's getting down to the millimeter or 1/16 of an inch. You know, inches are divided into 1/16ths, right? Yeah. And how many people can have the time to calculate something that accurate? But that's important when you're talking about plumbing and electrical and all the things, and wind and air. You don't want these things to be
a
falling
1/16 of an inch 100 times is a pretty big distance.
Yeah, that would be a lot. Yes,
that'd be a lot.
Jon would have an app for that to calculate that for you. But these are the things that you have to pay attention to, or else you end up with a lot of issues. Well, then tell me the process. I can only imagine by now people are going, all right, guys that are fundamental, that stand on good principles, that are obviously do good work, have a great looking website. This Cardinal Cowboy, I don't know about him, but they seem to know what they're talking about. How does somebody get started with you guys? Give me a little bit of the process. Sure. Is it easy going to the website? They call you directly? What do people do?
Yeah, so I think Cardinal Cowboy is all right, just so you know.
Okay.
But no, so yeah, the process is many different inlets as far as our funnel goes. So we get people into the website. There's a contact us form on there. Kyle Wegner with Better Call Kyle built our website for us. He's our webmaster, fantastic guy. But yeah, there's always that request a quote that you can click. There's all kinds of different ways that you can come in. There's a form you fill out that'll send us an email. You can call us on our Google line. My cell phone, his cell phone's out there. We both go to BNI, different meetings for BNI, so that we can get leads in that way. But when somebody calls in, regardless of how they came to us, the first thing is we kind of assess the situation, see what their needs are. And then once we figure out what their needs are, we'll schedule in person. I handle all of the quote-unquote sales, if you will. So I'll go to the house, walk around with them, see what needs to happen, take some notes on our iPad, take some pictures, and then I come home, write up the quote. A lot of times on bigger ones, we'll write the quote up together, send them the quote if they like it. We use Square for everything, for invoicing and item catalog. and then they can hit an accept button. I have an admin assistant, Alicia, that will give them a call, get them scheduled, do the work, do the invoice. So that's
Pretty simple, straightforward.
Yeah.
Technology, it's great to have someone with a technology background working in a lot of the construction guys. God love them, but that's just not their caveat, right? That's their expertise. But you're bringing a lot to it, including writing your own apps. That's very cool. Very cool. Well, then tell me, what is the biggest question that people have? People have, they call that an objection, right? What is the biggest objection people have? Is it is it always price, or what is it that people have the biggest question about when they're deciding whether or not what you have planned for them to go forward?
I think it depends on the person. You know, it's like sometimes if you're dealing with, you know, maybe it's an older gentleman who's used to doing things himself, but he's just reached an age where he needs to hire help. He might have a lot to say about how you're doing certain things,
Right.
you know, as part of the job. Like, oh man, you're using that kind of joint compound, huh? I mean, I don't know. I always use, you know, things like that. But I'd say the most common one is typically around either pricing or timing, where it's, you know, oh, that seems like a lot, and then it's just a matter of talking it out with the customer. You know, it's like, well, hey, here's where we're coming from with that price. This is what's included in that price. Here's everything we're going to do, the amount of time it's going to take, and you know, it's some people understand that, some people just it's like, I'm not going to pay that. It's like, okay, well, you know, it is what it is. And the other thing is scheduling, where a lot of times projects, like for drywall, for example, is a good one that it takes several days to do a small drywall patch, because you've got to patch it and then let it dry, and then, you know, add another coat of mud, float it out, make it look nice. And if you want it to look really good, it's going to take a few days, and you might only be in the house for 20 minutes each day, but it's going to take a few days. So sometimes that's another thing where you just need to set those scheduling expectations with people, where it's like, hey, this isn't going to be done tonight. We're not going to be painting before I go home tonight. Just, you know, and sometimes that's an issue for people, but it's just, again, a matter of explaining it to the customer so they understand what's going on. We're not just trying to be lazy or, you know, make it seem like it's worth more money than it is or anything like that. It's just a matter of what it all comes down to is just helping people understand the process.
Right.
You
Yep.
know?
Yeah, it is a process, and ultimately you just need to, once people understand things, then they generally go, oh, well, I didn't realize there was that much that went into it. But plaster, yeah, you got to dry the plaster has to dry, everybody. As somebody who's fixed a few holes, and I may have had baseballs and who knows what was caused at the house, and you can tell when I did them myself, and they're a little puffy and they're not as smooth or too smooth and all those things. But that's why you bring experts in to do that. Well, then tell me, what is it that gives you guys the most satisfaction with what you get to do? Obviously, a little bit of a change in the career paths for both of you. That's turned out pretty well so far, it seems. And you really get to, is this your passion comes from your heart? What gives you the most satisfaction with what you guys do?
Honestly, it's always around the customer for me. So it doesn't matter what the project is, whether it's one that we're wrapping up right now, where there's a nice older lady that moved into the basement of her kids, and she wanted to bless them with some renovations to the house as well as make it nice for herself. In the little mother-in-law suite, she had us come and do almost 300 foot of fence, tear down a deck and rebuild it, and put an awning over the patio that goes out from where she's at. Just seeing the look on her face when she would walk out and the deck, you know, wasn't there, and then, sorry.
No, you got it. Keep going. We're finishing up here, but I wanted to give everybody a quick look. If you go to their Facebook page before we finish up here, lots of great work that's been completed here, and you can see all kinds of examples of the stuff these guys have done.
There you go.
And
There's a
just go
finished
dig in there a little bit, everybody,
golden
because there is
finish.
so much these guys bring to the table.
There was
and
Terry.
I wanted
Oh,
you
that
people
was a fun
to
one.
see. There's that plaster we're talking about with windows, decks. These guys are experts. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned. Giddy up.